Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let's do the 0x10 HTTPS SSL termination task. Now in this task, we are required to make our web servers secure in some sense, which means that when you visit the server, you will not see this like not secure extension showing on it. Now when I go to my click viral page, my default web01 server, you can see it's showing this connection is not secure. This is because it's drawing on HTTP. Now we're going to try to change it to HTTPS, the required ones. So now let's go ahead and see the requirements for the first task. Now in this video, you have to make sure that all your servers are currently running properly. The web01 running on NGINX and web02 also running on the same NGINX with the same configuration, just a slight differences. Now the LB01 needs to be running the load balancer, directing the traffic between the two other servers, web0 and web02. So if you have any issues with that, just go ahead and check the top right corner of your video right now. You'll be seeing the link to the previous video there for the load balancing task. You can go ahead and check that to make some changes to your servers. But now if you don't have any issues with that, let's go to the first task. Now the first task requires that we configure our domain zone. So the subdomain www will point to the load balancer IP address. So now we are going to try to link a number of domain names to our servers. So now the first one is the www, which will be linked to the the LB01 server. So you go into your get.tech page. I'm already logged into mine. Click accounts. It will log you into the cPanel. Then you continue from there to make the required changes. So now click viral. You provide your domain name that you registered here. If you have an issue with this, just I will leave the link to the video where I address this task, where you purchase your domain and all of that. So now the video will be the web server video, so you can go ahead and check that. I'll leave the link in the description. So now you need to go all the way down to DNS Management, manage DNS. So now this will show you something like A records and all of that. So now login, yeah. So now this is default one that points to my web01 server. So you can see when I visit clickviral.tech, it's pointing to my web01 server. So now let's add a record. Now we're going to add for the subdomain, we use www, and then the IP address will be that of the web01, the LB01 server, sorry. So you can see in the requirements, add subdomain www to your domain, point it to the LB01. So we'll go ahead and grab that LB01's IP address and now paste it here. Add record. So then let's go ahead and check the next one. LB01 subdomain should point to the LB01 server also. So let's add another record. Subdomain LB01 and the IP address that of the LB01 server also. Now add record. But the next one is the web01 points to web01 IP address. Web01, add another record. Web01 points to the IP address of the web01 server. Web02 points to web02, add another record. IP address for web02. Now add record. Okay, so now if we visit all of these domains in our servers, in our browsers, we should be able to access them. So let's say www.clickviral. I guess it's not updated. It might take sometimes an hour or two. So let's just wait it out. Or I could use my terminal to check, in fact. Or CURL. I'm currently logged into my LB01 server, by the way. So CURL www.clickviral.tech. Still not done. So let me just log out. Yeah. No, exit, I mean. So now this is my local terminal. So let me go ahead and try again. www.clickviral.tech. Still the same. So this might take an hour or two. Just you need to wait it out. So I would wait until it's done, then we'll continue the video from there. So I'm back, everyone. All of the domains are now working properly, so we can test that using the curl command /si www.clickviral. Remember, you're using your domain name instead, not clickviral. So yeah, you can see this one responds from web01, from web02, so that works properly. Let's try for the lb01 to see if that works also. lb01, so that works also. Let's try for the web01 and then the web02. So everything works now, so the checker should be running properly. But now, just before you try to use the checker, you need to have a specific file in your GitHub repository, which is the 0 World Wide Web file. Now this file is like a script to check subdomains. So just make sure you have this file there. You don't need to run this. Just make sure you have it in your GitHub repository. So now when you check your code now, it should work properly. So the next thing we have to do while we are waiting for the checker is to now configure the SSL termination for our default domain, which is www.thedomain.tech. Now the checker is perfect, so we can go ahead and do that. You can see the task 1 says terminating SSL on Haproxy, which means we are supposed to configure the encrypted traffic and unencrypt it to go to the rest of the servers. So now Haproxy must be listening on port 443. Haproxy must be accepting SSL traffic. Haproxy must serve encrypted traffic and return in the default slash or default route of our web server. Querying the root of the domain name must return about in school, and now we should share Haproxy config in the answer file etc. So now this is the Haproxy configuration file, right? This is the one we have to edit to make those changes. But now, just before we do that, we need to get our private key file, which is the one to encrypted key file, which is the one to encrypt our data. So now we can do that by using Certbot. So now, just to go through all of that, I created a command log, like a list of commands that we use to achieve that. And let's go ahead and run this command one after the other in our lb01 server. So now, instead of just trying to like type in our IP addresses to log into our servers, since we now have our domain names configured to all of those servers, we can just use SSH Ubuntu at lb01.clickviral.tech. Now remember to use your own domain name here instead, otherwise it will not work. Use the domain name that you linked to your IP address. So now this should log into my server for me. Yes. And now I should be logged into my lb01 server instead. Yeah, so now it's worked properly. So now I'm in my lb01 server, which means our domain name linking actually worked. So now let's go ahead and create let's go ahead and run the commands. First, you need to update the PC, the device. Yep. Now the next one, you need to install snapd. No? Yeah. Now once this is installed, we want to confirm that Certbot is not previously installed. If it is, we want to remove it, and then we want to reinstall it. So let's just wait for this to complete. So now that is done, the next command, try to remove Certbot if it is installed. Then the next one is to install it. Yeah. Okay, yes. Just type Y there to continue the installation. So now let's go ahead and run the next command after that one is complete. But now in this command, make sure you change some things. You need to change the domain name. So just let's skip this. I'll make sure I edit this and remove it. But just you need to just copy this single one. You can leave out the rest. So now paste this and make sure you edit the domain name that is here. Make sure you change it to your own domain name, otherwise there'll be errors. So www.clickviral.tech. Now if your domain name is jeremiah.tech, make sure you put www.jeremiah.tech. Make sure you remember to do that, otherwise you'll be having errors when you're trying to run this command. So now enter, and then it should take a few seconds. Yes, now you can also provide your email address. Yes, enter. Now you can see, just provide A to agree. Now you can choose no or yes for this. I would say no. Now obtaining a new certificate, you can see that also worked properly. We now have our certificate saved to our computer, our server, I mean. So now let's go ahead and see the next command, sudo ls. Now remember to not copy this your domain name. What I mean there is to type in your own domain name, which is the www.clickviral.tech that we used earlier. So I'll paste this then and say www.clickviral.tech. Remember to use your domain name. Always remember this. Now enter. Wrong. Not. Why is this happening? Let's encrypt. Okay. VE. Okay. Let's just leave this out. Let's go to the next one for now. Okay, now for the next one, we need to run this command, and remember to change the names that are there, domain names that are there. So let's go ahead and copy the next command. Let me make this full screen, in fact. So let me paste. No. Okay. So now copy the command. Let me go back into my terminal, clear my screen, paste. And now remember to change the first example.com. Change it to your domain name. Remember that. Let's change this to my domain name, www.clickviral.tech. Then enter. No such file or directory. Why is this happening? Okay. Oh yeah, I think I know why that's happening. Remove www. Okay, let me go back a few steps and try to discover what went wrong. Yes, this command again. Okay, now I figure out what happened. Now when I run this command, yes, I keep forgetting that, in fact. When I run this command on line 5, you need to make sure that there is nothing running on your port 80. And currently the Haproxy is running on that port. So you need to stop Haproxy first before running that command. So let me go ahead and stop Haproxy. Sudo service Haproxy stop. Now when I run curl localhost, you see nothing is not responding. But now when I go back to that command on line 5, which is the one to, this command, you will now see something will be different. Waiting for verification, cleanup challenges, and yes, now it's just worked. Previously it's got the required files, but it did not clean up the command. So now we've gotten that properly. So let's go ahead and go to the next command, which is the sudo ls. This is just to confirm that it worked, and I noticed it didn't work the other time. I was trying to figure out why. So now sudo ls, then our domain name. This command should now display a number of files as response. So now this means it has indeed worked. So now let's go ahead and see the next one. Yes, this one, the domain, this is the line 8. Make sure you change this to your domain name. Remember to do that. Now we have the command here already, so I run it, enter. Still, oh yeah, I didn't use the correct name, which is www. So let me go ahead and change that also. So www.clickviral.tech, and now this should work without any else. Yes, that worked fine. So now we've moved our certificates to the required folders. So now run the next chmod plus x. Okay, just paste this and run. You don't have to change anything here, just enter. And then the next thing to do is to edit our configuration file. I'll paste this. You don't have to change anything else, so just run the command. It will open. Yeah, now the next thing to do is to come here into the 100 redirect to HTTPS file, then copy the entire contents of this file. Now one thing you want to skip is the backend. Remember here you used in the previous video, remember we used the IP addresses and then the student ID for your domain. So now if you used a different name, like I said in the previous video, if you watch that, I said you have to use you can change this click viral to whatever you want. But now if you change that in that video, make sure you like continue the same process here. So let me just go ahead and copy, then go back, delete all of this except the back end. Remember, it's just nothing really changed there, so we can just go ahead and leave it the way it is. So let me go ahead and paste. Yes, and that worked fine. So now you can just make sure it looks exactly the same. Nope, one, yes. Yep, so now you can see it's similar. This is all the same. Now what this does is this redirects to HTTPS. Instead of just trying to like set up the HTTPS to work on its own, we just skip ahead to the HTTPS task. So now let's go ahead and save our file. Save, Control X, Y, enter. Now when we restart Haproxy, sudo service Haproxy start. Okay, there is an error somewhere, so let's go ahead and figure out what that is. So let's go ahead and say journal xe. Yes, let's run this instead. So now this helps us figure out what the error actually is. Fail to load a proxy load balancer. Now let's see the next command to figure out what went wrong. So let me clear my screen, paste. So the job failed. Now I think the issue should be in the configuration file. So let's go ahead and see what went wrong there. So let me go ahead and copy. This time I'll copy the entire file to see if probably that's the error. But then I'll change the required. Yep. Copy this. Go back to the previous command. Okay. Now let's delete all of this. Let's just keep this for reference. Now paste all of that and see. Yes, now I want to update these lines to match the required ones. So now this needs to go ahead with the IP addresses that I have and then the student IP. So 145.019. Make sure this is the same. This is the one you use yours for this instead of using mine. So web 01, then the IP address 18.209.255.255. Then for this, then also the IP address 54 175.147.168. So now we can just comment this out to let's go. Let me just go ahead and look over this file again to check if there are no errors. Okay, I think I found the error. Now remember we are using www for the domain, but we are not using that in this route. It should be www instead. Okay, Control X, Y, enter. I've saved my file. Let's go ahead and restart our proxy. Now there are no errors, so that worked properly. So now when I run curl localhost, it will be saying redirected. No response actually. Let me say -si. Now you can see it moved permanently because it's moving to HTTPS. So now when I review www here, you should be seeing the HTTPS. Now it's working properly, verified by Let's Encrypt, which is the one that we used to create our files. So now we've done the HTTPS task and it's working properly. So let's go ahead and use our checkers. Okay, check your code, start a new test. So now this worked properly, checkers complete. So now that's basically all. For the next task also, this is the redirection part. So now we can just use the checker for that also. It's completely working. We've already skipped ahead, so that should work also. Reload. Yes, that worked also. So now thank you so much for watching. That's all. Please leave your questions in the comment section. I'll respond to them as quickly as humanly possible. Please like my videos and subscribe to my channel. That goes a long way. Thank you for watching once again.